Relentless Entertainment presents Bandcamp Fridays, weekly album reviews.
Welcome back to Bandcamp Fridays, where I use my time sitting in traffic to listen to some records and give you my thoughts on them so you know what not to waste your time with, or maybe what will be worth your time. Today, we've got a band called Fulci. Duck Face Killings. The infamous Italian director Lucio Fulci created many of horror and exploitation cinema's most memorable and vivid visions of the supernatural, sadistic, and salacious. Zombie 2, The Beyond, City of the Living Dead, The House by the Cemetery, and more left an indelible impression on the minds of many an impressionable youth. The Italian death metal band Fulci were so possessed by their countrymen's work, they named the band after him, each album being a concept and tribute based on one of his films. And I decided to go watch some of his films, and they're pretty cool. There's some pretty cool shit in them, some pretty gory, cool imagery. They're old, so expect that. But for this band, Fulci, it came out in August 2024, and I noticed something. The release dates on here are not accurate. I believe a lot of them were maybe when they were put out on Bandcamp, because I saw some and they were not accurate. But since I'm getting all this stuff off Bandcamp, I'm just going to keep giving you what Bandcamp has. The label they are on is $20 spin. These guys were really hard to find too. I think there was a couple bands called Fulci, because I have a Michigan on here, and obviously they're from Italy. I would describe this album as fresh and exciting death metal. The opening track, Vile Butchery, opens with a sound clip talking about butchering before butchering your eardrums with guttural growls that you can understand the lyrics, and some killer guitar work. Like any death metal band, they keep it short and sweet. The production quality, the guitars are heavy and clean with solid palm mutes and clean runs. The snare sounds great with a nice pop and subtle reverb. The kick drum is solid, but could match the snare volume a little better. Every instrument sits well in its own space, making for a very clean sounding record. The second song, A Blade on the Dark, is something straight out of a cheesy porno flick. Before fucking you with the bottle and chuggy riffs before opening it up with a cool melody and chord progression. Knife opens up with some clean guitars and then, rapping? What the fuck? Never heard that in a death metal before, and it wasn't bad at all. The guitars sound so good, lots of little interludes and sound clips break up the brutality and add a certain hauntingness to the album. And the final track, Miel del Diavolo, is a slow epic track featuring none other than a saxophone solo. It reminds me of Old Cannibal Corpse and the Dying Fetus. I give this album a 9. It's filled with sick riffs, the drummer lets the guitars breathe, it's experimental and filled with twists and turns. It sounds amazing and has a great mix. Bravo. Second up for you today, we have from Noisebringer Records, Kanonenfeiber. Cannon Fever in English. Die Catastrophe. As with its predecessor, Kanonenfeiber's second album, Die Catastrophe, is based on factual reports letters, and original documents from the surviving and deceased soldiers from the First World War. Its intent is not to glorify, because there is no glory in war. Everyone loses their lives, their souls, and their humanity. This album is intended to commemorate the countless victims of World War I. War is often depicted in an abstract way through numbers and statistics. Kanonenfeiber aimed to tell the stories of the nameless and the faceless in order to allow for a small glimpse of their personal horrors and thereby the larger scale horror for mankind as a whole. I just wish I spoke German so I knew what they were talking about. That's my only complaint. This just came out in September. They hail from Germany, like I said. I would describe this album as an album you want to listen to before heading into battle. The opening track, Grassmacht-Fantasie, has what sounds like someone speaking over a loudspeaker and some guitar lines before breaking into Menschenmühl with galloping guitars and double bass, so fast it will give you a heart attack. Even though I don't understand what they are saying, it is super catchy already. Deutschland, Deutschland. I wish I knew German. The production, the drums and vocals sit front and center while the guitars are a little buried in the mix, with lots of cool melodic arpeggios. The kick is nice and punchy with a thick, snappy snare, and the bass is nice and crisp. The highlights of the album is fast guitars and even faster drums with sound clips that bring you back to the early 1900s. Lots of cool little melodic arpeggios. Der Maulwurf gives off a little industrial vibe with a dirty sounding bass guitar, and the vocal lines just sound so interesting with a huge chanty chorus. There's lots of ups and downs where just the guitar plays a short little piece before coming back in full force. Got to Meet Die Kavallerie has a really cool natural harmonic riff. Panzerhenker opens with a headbanger. Every song has the same structure and same style riff. Als die Waffen kamen gives off Renaissance era vibes. Couldn't really think of anything it reminded me of. And as for the rating, I hate to do it because I was really looking forward to this album, but I'm going to have to give it a 7. Although it sounds huge and there are lots of memorable sections which I haven't been finding a lot, it is a bit repetitive and redundant and becomes predictable. There you have it. But the song that I've been hearing on Pandora, I really liked and was really looking forward to this album. And then the third and final album, it's a little bit older album by a newer band, Slave to the Scalpel by 200 Stab Wounds. And I want my bandcamp background to look cool like that. I don't know how they do that. This came out in November of 2021 and they hail from Ohio. I would describe the overall feel of this album like you're being stabbed repeatedly by chugs and blast beats. The opening track, Skin Milk, opens up with a nice drum roll with some sound clips before slamming your face in the ground with down-tuned guitars and even lower gutturals. The production on the album is filled with down-tuned guitars, bring a huge low end, the bass fills up the space very well, a deep kick drum and snappy snare and well-balanced cymbals. The highlights, Toe Rope around the throat is chuggy with some cool lead parts, and a head-smashing gallop. The bass and stifling stew sounds sick and would make Lemmy proud. Reminds me of a little old school and a little new school. And I think I remember, all of the songs are very short, so it's kind of hard to give a lot of details. I would give this album a solid 8. 200 stab wounds brings a certain freshness to old school brutality, leaving a trail of bloody riffs that make you want to slam your head against the wall. So I'll catch you guys next week, and hopefully I'll have some more bangers for y'all to check out.